Welcome back to the newsroom and welcome to today's edition of the Culture Up-to-Date during the morning edition. The fashion world is in the thick of the fall-winter ready-to-wear shows. Milan just wrapped up on Monday and yesterday was the official start of the Paris Fashion Week. Jessica Michault, the online style editor of the International Herald Tribune, has stopped in on her way to her next fashion show to tell us about all the latest trends. So, Jessica, if we start with Milan, then what had the fashion world in a big buzz?
Well, in Milan, the big buzz, the big debate was actually the calendar itself. It had been crammed down to 4 days, and a lot of the top journalists and buyers and photographers were complaining that there just wasn't enough time to see everything, all of the presentations, the shows, the store openings, and of course some of the parties. It felt like working 24/7, 4 days straight, so there was a lot of grumbling going on in Milan.
So basically, Fashion Week turned into a fashion-long weekend. But why did the Italian brands condense things so much?
Well, supposedly it's the American buyers, and particularly the editor-in-chief of American Vogue, Anna Wintour, who went to the Italian designers personally and also to the Camera Nazionale della Moda, which is the governing body for fashion in Italy, saying that the calendar was too long, they had to condense it, she only had 4 days to be in town, and that was it. And this caused a huge debate in the local press, of course, in Italy, but also the international press. My colleague, Susie Menkes, did a commentary on the first day of the Fashion Week, days in Milan, saying that
long weekend,
exactly,
again.
and that was her title. Milan deserves more than a long weekend, saying that the Italian designers needed to really stand up for themselves, that this was unacceptable. You had to have time to enjoy and process the collections that we were seeing.
So I'm guessing Anna Wintour, she's not a very popular woman at this moment.
No, she's not. She got a lot of backlash, the brunt of the backlash in Milan. There were a number of silent protests outside of shows, women dressing up in Anna Wintour wigs and glasses, wearing T-shirts saying, "I will not stay longer than 3 days," or something to that effect. And when she was actually at shows, she was booed by the press, the photographers from the pit at the end of the catwalk a number of times. So it was a rough going for Anna Wintour in Milan.
I'm guessing though she's not doing too badly. She's still the editor-in-chief of Vogue and so on and so forth. And I'm guessing as well she's got a lot of money in the bank still. But if we do look away from this controversy and look at the latest trends to actually come out of Milan, what was popular and what was not so popular on the catwalk?
Well, I can give you a rundown of what we were seeing coming out of Milan. I think the shape that we're seeing for next fall-winter is the hourglass shape, and this was led by Prada, which is really, she always sets the tone for Milan in any case. So Miuccia Prada sent out a really kind of retro 1950s style of, full skirts, fitted waists, conical breasts with beehive hairdos and granny glasses, so it was the whole effect. And in fact, she also used models that weren't size 0. They had a bit of a curve, a bit of shape to them, and that was quite something new for Miuccia Prada to put on the runway. So we saw this hourglass shape on a number of different catwalks. We saw it on Dolce & Gabbana. We saw it at Marni. It was quite an interesting idea at Marni. It was an apron shape kind of wrap around the hips to increase the size of the hips. And then at Max Mara, there were some amazing coats at Max Mara, again, nipped in at the waist, a full skirt, cinched in with a belt. So the hourglass shape was quite big. As far as embellishments are concerned, there seems to be a trend toward adding fringe onto just about everything. We saw fringe on, we saw fringe at Moschino, which was very much the American cowboy fringe on the back of the arms of jackets, on jackets all over the place.
It's like fur, basically, this year, right?
Yes, exactly. So it was all fringe instead of fur, although there was fur. We saw at Blue Marine, we saw fringe being used to add volume to different outfits. So there was an animal print thing going on there. So we saw fringe on jackets, we saw fringe on purses, we saw fringe pretty much everywhere. But to show you how versatile fringe can be, we saw at Acqualando and Raimondi a kind of distressed fringe frayed tweed. So it was a very much ladies who lunch tweed coats, tweed jackets, and tailleur, but in a very sophisticated way with the fringe. So that was quite interesting.
What about the colours? Because when you look at women often during the winter and fall season, it seems like they're wearing grey, they're wearing black, they're wearing brown. Well, the men as well, for that matter. But what are the colours next year?
Well, I think we're always going to be wearing black in winter. I don't think we'll ever get away with that. But without question, the strongest color to come out of Milan was green, basically in all the shades, from an olive khaki color all the way to a really deep, rich emerald green. We saw Armani with amazing rich greens. We saw Missoni. We saw beautiful green leather jacket at Versus, and then also at Sport Max. So it looks like fashion is going green next winter.
What was your favorite show?
I don't know if it was my favorite show. I would have to say that the show that probably moved me the most was Dolce & Gabbana. They did a collection kind of as a love letter to the petite main, the people who put together their collections. It was they had the backdrop was a film of these people putting together the show that we were actually seeing them on the models as they walked down the catwalk, and to the music of love ballads from the Moulin Rouge. The total effect was quite moving, and there were quite a number of people in the audience with tears in their eyes at the end of the collection, and I have to say I got a bit choked up. So let's take a look at a bit of that right now.
Once again, that was Dolce & Gabbana, if I got it right. But I mean, they've been around for a long time. D&G, it's a brand that we've seen for decades, it feels like now. But what about the younger designers? Were there any younger designers that stood out?
Well, that's the big problem, actually, in Milan. Many of the major houses, their designers are 50 plus, 60 plus and over. So they're having a hard time getting younger designers to get any kind of press. I have to say there was a big stand-up for me was somebody called Marco Di Vincenzo. He showed his second catwalk collection in Milan. He trained for 8 years alongside Silvia Fendi, and he created a show that had a lot of beautiful ideas, a lot of intricate work, and he's self-financed for the moment, but I think that he will be finding backers soon with collections like this.
Just very briefly, it's Paris Fashion Week. Where are you going next?
I'm seeing Anne Ash in about a half an hour, and then I've got another 8 shows to do.
All right, lots of things to cover. Thanks very much, Jessica Michault. And with that, we're going to wrap up the morning edition and the culture for now. Stay with us.